to order at 5:15. You gentlemen had a chance to look at the minutes of the last meeting. Is there any corrections, or they okay as how they were written?
I got no problem with them. I'll approve them.
Second.
Ken makes a motion, we approve them. Mark makes a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. So the minutes of the last meeting is approved. Okay. First item on the agenda tonight is carbon monoxide detectors, which we do have in our packet here from Mike Bellis. Every dwelling, building, or structure occupied in whole or in part of the residential purpose that contains fossil fuel burning equipment or incorporates enclosed parking within its structure shall be equipped by the owner with working approved carbon monoxide alarms. The alarm shall meet a minimum requirement of UL 217, UL 2034, NFPA 72, NFPA 720. Existing residence structure shall be required to have carbon monoxide alarms installed upon change of occupancy. Mike, you got anything to add to this?
I gave that to Bob Wolf, our fire chief, and he read it over, and he likes the wordage of it too. And he mentioned to me that if we adopt this, we'll be basically the first city in the state of Kansas to adopt it. So, we'll have a format to start with the other cities. So, to me, it is a life safety matter, and it can't stretch us enough,
Okay. And you guys have questions for him on this?
The alarm shall meet the requirements of those 4 items. Is it meet one of those requirements, or does it meet all 4?
Basically, if you go with the UL 217 and the U 2034, the NFPA 72 and 720 is all in part of that too, and the UL wordage of it. So if it just has the UL part of it, just like the BRK, that's why I got this copy here for you. That's all it shows. That meets the requirements for the state.
So we could change the verbiage to say meet one of the following, maybe?
Yeah, we can do that.
That,
Well, not one of the following. It's got to meet both of the following. The UL 2034 and the UL 217 to be a qualified. That, one part of that is the so many parts per million, and the other part is the detection system for the time.
Okay.
So it's got to meet both of them.
Mike, on a change of occupancy, does that mean change of owners or just change of renters?
If it says the landlord that owns it, and if the renter come in and it's changed, then that means a change of occupancy. Anytime you have a new person moving into that occupancy, it's a change. And that's where this code was, comes into effect. And one way to be able to enforce it is like, say if the gas or the electric's off for over a year, that would be part of it, that before you can have occupancy in there, you're gonna have the smoke detection and the carbon monoxide in there. And I'm not saying the hardwired, they can do with a battery type that you buy with Walmart, as long as it meets that specification.
Okay, so I remember talking about that, but yeah, so you'll accept
Yep.
the battery powered and not hardwired to meet this code.
And BRK and Kitty both have the ones that are battery strictly, where it still energizes the whole occupancy.
Okay,
The way I look at, something's better than nothing.
yeah, I agree.
But a new house, it has to be hardwired.
Well, a new
Or
house
any
folder
new
is the
construction.
IRC.
Right.
The IRC stipulates in that IRC book that you have to have the smoke detection if it has a full, fossil fuel, appliance in it, or if it's got a attached garage, you have to have, carbon monoxide in it. That's in the IRC, so that takes care of all the new.
But it's hardwired, it's not battery backup in a new residential.
in the new
The way
residential.
way I understood it, is that correct?
Yeah, it should be all hardwired.
Okay.
That's
Well,
not to say that.
Not all hardwired, just one
One has to
hardwired,
be.
right?
But that's what I'm saying, if it gets missed missed out by some reason, the battery backup ones that are radio controlled, that talk to the bridge with the motherboard, those would be acceptable too.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'll also fall in the permit. I mean, if a permit's pulled or on a job, that, the smoke alarm's still, that's still part of all that anyway,
Yeah, that's
so
still
really,
part of it.
This is just,
this
yeah,
is
just
just if you
adding
change
carbon
occupants.
monoxide
But
to it.
if it's a new occupancy and the walls are wide open, I'm gonna tell them they need to put it in hardened water. Cause that's in the IRC book too.
Okay.
Now, if they forget to do it for some reason, it's only sheet rock, we do have a means to be able to go with the other side.
All right.
It still meet code,
Okay.
the tin of the code, I should say.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
All right, thank you.
Bob and Chip both looked it over, and they were pleased.
They were pleased with it? Okay.
It says alarms, like plural, is one alarm satisfactory?
On the carbon monoxide, you must have it outside of each bedroom, and if it's in a hallway, if it's over 15 feet long, you have to have 2 carbon monoxides. The hallway in between bedrooms and over that can't be within 3 feet of a bathroom door, and there's certain specifications.
So none of that verbiage is in here. Does that need to be added?
That's in the NEC and the IRC right there, so it's already covered that way.
But in this right here, what
This-
we're talking about.
Well, yeah, you're
The
meeting,
NEC or IRC won't apply to this scenario.
Well,
Right.
it will in the new construction, in the old construction, on the carbon monoxide said the change of occupancy, and that's where this would take care of it there. And, yeah, we could add that in there too, saying that it's gotta be within a certain distance of the bedroom doors and all that.
So we're gonna make them follow the code requirements for carbon. Cause I remember the last meeting, we just said we just want one, at least one in there.
Well, the problem is, if you're gonna put one, you might well put, meet code, cause if you don't, it's just like anything else, if the person dies from it, and they go to court, then it's up to the judge to interpret that code and the lawyers that the people have. So if we have it according to code, and we meet code there, that keeps the city free and clear for, we did the intent of the code. That's why I said that we need to meet it, and they're not that expensive.
Are we gonna have the requirements typed out, so if these homeowners buy them, and these batteries, they wanna put them in, they need to know where they're gonna go?
Yeah, we'll
Cause
have
it's
one.
every floor that has a gas-fired appliance, so if you have your furnace in your basement and your stove on the first floor,
If you have
And a
if you have a
gas.
fossil fuel burning appliance in that house anywhere, you have to have carbon monoxide protection in that house. And if your bedrooms are on the second floor, that furnace is on the basement floor, you still have to have carbon monoxide outside the doors of the bedrooms. So, according to code. Yeah. The NEC doesn't really cover smoke detectors, that's where the IRC steps in.
I just thought it was every floor that had a gas-fired appliance.
No, if you have one, it's just like if you have a garage that's attached,
Yeah,
you have to have them, period. If that garage is detached, you don't have to have them, as long as you don't have fossil fuel burning appliance in that house.
Okay.
I
Thank
think as
you.
long as it's spelled out, so if he's,
Yeah, this doesn't spell that out. I mean, I think that could be open for interpretation,
Yeah, but we can add it in there, there's just be a little more verbiage in it.
so are you gonna physically go out and check each one of these during that? Is it
Yeah,
gonna
what's
be
the enforcement
inspection, or
process?
how's it
The
gonna
enforcement, like I said before, is like I said, the gas has been on for a year or more, or the electric's been off a year or more, before I'll allow that to be turned on, until you gotta have your carbon monoxide and your smoke detection system in there. Battery type from Walmart's fine, or if you wanna go ahead and buy the BRKs, or if you wanna buy the kitties and put that type in, that's fine too. That's how I can enforce it there. If the change of occupancy is say like on a landlord, and the gas hasn't been off for over a year, there's no way to catch it.
Well, they'll have to come in and change the utilities, that's how you're gonna know it's a change of
Well,
occupancy,
they don't
correct?
have power and gas.
The thing is, with the power and the gas, we are not notified.
They
of
said
the
there's
thing.
no
What we
water.
would know is
Just have
the
water.
water. So, we could have the city down below there, the water department notifies if there's a change in occupancy.
That's a lot of manpower.
But wasn't you going to, if this adopts, you're going to send a letter out to all the real estate people with this that manages property for landlords? Wasn't that talked about? That you were gonna send this to all the real estate people, because especially when they do home inspections and/or, I know you got Shannon and you got a couple others, Clayton Papan. They're all managing properties for landlords, so are you're gonna take this letter to them too, or to all
We'll
real
need
estate?
to, so that they're aware of it too. You know, we don't wanna give them a sticker shock, you know, all of a sudden we want them to know ahead of time that if they
Right.
change occupancy, if they rent something else, is somebody other than what was there originally, then they'll have to go ahead and get the carbon monoxide taken care of.
Okay.
This will be posted in the public notices too, in the paper on it.
Well, and we'll look into it. We will, that's Andrew's expertise.
Sure, everybody reads them, but
It's coming.
Yeah, can you get a little bigger print on that?
Okay. Any other questions, guys? Do I hear a motion or non-motion, or what do you wanna discuss it, or what do you guys think?
I'm kinda sitting here thinking until we get all the wordage in there that we talked about here, see a final product. You know, that way, but then that's just my opinion.
so you think that this, what he's got written out here is just too vague? You actually want it specified where they need to go, and just like a code would, or is it, are we following the IRC code and use that for reference? If that's it, then all we'd have to do is just put that in here.
Yeah, the IRC basically gives the format, the blueprint of where these go at, where they're required at in each occupancy. So, but we can just reference the IRC in the electrical code part of it, and section such and such, and then we can
Okay.
reference that way.
That'd be the easiest way.
Yes.
Yeah,
That would probably be-
Just so it's in there somewhere that they see that.
Right.
The
Like I
thing
say,
is,
it's up to them to read the,
for the public, we don't
IRC.
wanna make it too complicated. You know, we still want them to be able to read it, and if we put it to the IRC code, you know, most realtors, I don't know if any realtors actually, that has an IRC book. So we probably should put the wordage in the amendment. So
Well, then-
they can read it off of the city.
I would say before we vote on it, we need
yeah, I
to
think
just
you need to see the word.
everybody take a look at the IRC code, and then if there's some changes or something that need to be made there.
Does everybody want this? I mean, if we're the only person in the whole state of Kansas that's thinking about this, are we really thinking the right direction? I mean, we look at how thick that book is, and that's just one of many books, rule books. We've got so many rules, we don't even know all the rules. We gotta spend hours looking up the rules and go to training to learn all the rules. If we don't have a problem, if there's not an incident in our city that's spurred a problem to a need to adopt this, do we really feel like adding more rules?
There has
There
been.
may not be now,
There,
but
there
it's
were, I
supposed
do
to be.
know
Yeah.
I know two people this year.
There has been incidents.
Yeah.
One lady was sent to the hospital. Carl was over there at that time. We've had, not a lot, but we've been averaging maybe one or two a year that's come up with monoxide poisoning. And the problem is if we don't adopt it, we just wash our hands of it, somebody dies from it, it's on our shoulders. Well, look at it. So, this is protecting the city, that's protecting the public from this type of situation that is basically life-threatening. It will kill.
It's gonna protect landlords and,
Yep.
yeah.
And I'm sure, you know, we're gonna have repercussions from the landlords, but, you know, the thing is, they're.
Well, this
living in a
isn't
house
really
they got-
that expensive of
No.
a
Safe.
retrofit, except for a large apartment complex or something, but
Well, see, that's the thing, in that IRC book right there, it states in there, if you do any remodeling inside the house, not exterior, not siding, not roofing, if you do any remodeling of it, the code official has the authority to insist that hardwired or some type of smoke protection system is installed. So, and that's on remodeling. You know, we have kind of ventured away from that. If it's a major remodel, yes. Something in a small bathroom, no. We don't-
well, will this,
That code doesn't.
will this ordinance kick in, say like, well, we've got several apartment complexes that have over, 20 to 40 apartments in them, is this,
What that's.
is that what gonna require them to every time when somebody moves out, they gotta make sure they put one in?
And that's one thing, what I'll do is we'll talk to it, and I'll take it up to the high rise and to Windsor Court, and give it to all them people. that
Or
are-
some of them may already,
I gonna say, if I remember, I've been to Windsor Courts or the high rise, and I think they're automatically in those, cause they're HUD approved.
yeah, that
So,
might be,
so they are
yeah,
required by HUD and the assisted,
yeah.
so I
But
think,
they have a fire alarm system that
Right.
activates the whole building.
right,
But the only thing is if I.
But that's a
remember
fire
right, inside
alarm,
that
not a-
building, They don't have carbon monoxide.
Carbon monoxide.
protection.
yeah, they do, cause when I went out there, that's, I called the fire department, cause mine was kept going off and I had them come out. They checked along with my machine and they were both right there at the same parts per million, so, yeah, but the one in the house was not going off.
Yeah, the individual
Right,
occupancy ones. does,
right. But they do have them in the apartments, I'm not gonna say every one, but the few that I were in, they did have them.
And that's the thing, like I said, it's a life safety matter, it's all about, what opened my eyes up to it was, the two we had in the last, 8 months or 9 months that
Yeah.
came up. And I thought this is something that needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
Not trying to put heavy weight on you guys' shoulders.
Okay. So we wanna make a motion that we get the verbiage from the IRC, list it and what it means before we vote on this. Get it on.
I don't know if we need a motion to do that,
need a
but I
motion.
think we can just
Table
table
it.
it.
Table it.
Yeah.
And
Alright.
then till Mike gets some more information, copies of the IRC code, so we can all look at them, and then you can email or whatever. Andrew can do that, and then at our next regular meeting, we could make that decision then.
And when I get on this, I got some of the verbiage like out of the state of Maine, but what they had, they didn't have anything on so far as location or anything like that for the smoke detectors or carbon monoxide or middle verbiage. So some of it I got from Maine, and then there's a little bit in Ohio that I got some of the verbiage out of. The only thing that I really added to it was, say on the change of occupancy. That's the only thing I added, it wasn't there before.
Okay,
Okay.
It'd be nice if that's spelled out too, you know,
Yeah.
what'll trigger it.
Yep, I'll do that, that's no problem.
okay, so we'll table the carbon monoxide detector until you get that information to us, and we'll go from there, okay? All right, thank you, Mike.
All right, thank you guys.
Okay, next on the agenda is formal complaint from Dennis and Mylissa Call against Fuentes Construction. Dennis or Melissa, which one of you wanna talk? Well, take one of you first. And we're gonna limit this to 3 minutes. Is that normal?
Oh, she's gonna need more than that. They, both of them, what,
Well, I know, but I mean,
15 minutes or something?
okay, all right,
When you start repeating
Please
yourself, we're gonna
approach.
shut you off.
okay.
Please approach.
Yeah, we're gonna try to keep it short. I think there's more than 3 minutes with the
Well, I was thinking of something else.
Okay.
But before you begin, we've got your letter dated 7/13/18 requesting, you want it says the verbiage said take Pablo Fuentes Construction before the trades board. So I guess our question is for what reason or what outcome are you hoping to gain?
Okay. At this point, we would, actually start off with that. I would like to have his lawn removed. That's what I would like. I think he did about $250,000 worth of damage to our property. In fact, I know he did.
Okay.
That's what I want.
You want $250,000 or you want,
Now,
we,
I want his bond vote.
okay,
It is gonna end up way beyond anything here in our city. But I want his bond vote.
Can the city explain to us exactly, does the, I don't know that the trades board has authority over contractor surety bonds. It's more over just licensing, isn't it? We don't do any voting over surety bonds.
It's not over bonds, I don't think.
I don't think we're allowed to.
Well, I know that I
Board
can make
Yeah, I
a-
think that might have to go before the city commission.
I know how I've been able to do enough things that I can come in here and just get it on record that I came here
Okay,
and get this on record with what I have to say
okay.
and,
Well,
get the
this-
photos on record.
This board is a board of appeals, so
Yeah.
if you wanted to appeal a judgment made by the city of Arc City, we would hear what you know, your appeal was on their judgment. And we also hear cases on, licensing. I mean, if you have an issue with a contractor's qualifications.
I would like his license revoked.
Okay, so we're not gonna mess with bonds.
Yeah, I guess in the end, it will come up to that point, but I would like his license to do business
Okay.
in the city of Arc City revoked.
All right,
That is probably the better way to do it.
can you please state your name and address for the,
Mylissa Call, 801 South D, Arkansas City, Kansas. And, this is my husband, Dennis D. Call.
thank you.
I know pretty much what I'm up against. I have no qualms about it. I've been dealing with this for over 5 months. I thought I was gonna have this meeting months ago. So far, this has cost me a lot in legal fees and a lot of dealing with professionals. I think you guys should have a copy, probably on top of a structural engineer's. Cause it just came in as the last thing. It shows that where Mr. Fuentes actually did work on our house without being permitted to do so. We had, you see here, a better way to put it. My husband does not like to talk, but I'm gonna try not to ramble. He called, we were interested in getting some work done on another property. He was interested, he was one of the few people who said that he could do that. We could not get anybody local to give us a bid on that property. Our property, I believe, you know, Mr. Ken, I'm sorry, before you, you know, our house, very straight, our house is built like a church. It has towers, it has vertical pitches, it's very impossible to find work. The last guy that did the roof on it, they had to literally hang from the towers to do the roofing. It's gonna take, somebody coming in from out of town. I still want to work in town. But Mr. Fuentes said that he could do the roof on our house, which literally is around the corner from where they live.
Now, this is the roof you're
The roof
talking
of our
about.
residence.
Let's,
Of our
well, let's stick
residence.
to the
Yeah.
property
And that's how.
that's on the,
On the thing.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's how this other property got brought in,
okay.
because it was at the same time as that we were dealing with the other property.
Okay, so you received damage from, let's start from the beginning. You received damage from
The
the
same-
hailstorms, and you
Yeah,
contacted your insurance company.
Yeah.
Correct.
On 6/26 of 2017, on both properties.
And then
They,
you had,
and we.
they
had-
usually request at least 2 quotes.
Yeah.
Is that
We
correct?
We had just started getting quotes. We had got 2 quotes.
Okay,
Well, we had not even got the quote from Mr. Fuentes. We had got a quote from King's Construction for $12,500.
who was that?
King's Construction.
King, okay, yeah, King,
For $12,500. Then he immediately sent us a text, which you you should have a copy of, where he reduced it to 12,300. Then, we did not get anything from Pablo. We were expecting one from him. I got a telephone call from Pablo Fuentes when I was homesick with the flu, about the same time, within a couple of days. And he said, I have an estimate for you. I said, I'm homesick with the flu. I said, drop it off with Dennis at the shop. You tell him.
Well, he broke by the shop, and, I didn't have an understanding that I needed to sign it. And I signed it, and it didn't have everything listed on it like it should, so we got a hold of him that night, and we met him the following day and told him that we need to have a better contract wrote up. I thought we just signed an estimate, basically.
Okay, so he asked you to sign it to show that he showed it to you, or that you were signing it
I was
for him to do the work?
do the work, I guess, is what it ended up being, but it wasn't, everything wasn't spelled out on it as what work was going to be done. And so we met him the next day within 24 hours.
Well, what was that figure?
Do we have a
That
copy
he
of that?
gave you an estimate, what was that figure? Was that the 15.5?
15,000.
And it was not an amount that we ever spoke of with him.
Well, I was gonna say, if you had two quotes and one was lower,
Well, he claimed that he was gonna use, that's why I got this in my hand, he's going to use half-inch plywood.
plywood,
This is not plywood.
No.
This is what he used on our roof.
and
That's just one
that was
thing.
in his quote. and
That
he
was in his
using-
quote.
Okay,
his contract.
now that I know that, I'll let you go on.
Okay.
Yeah, and plus, when I talked to Dennis had been busy at the shop, and Dennis told me that he would just handed it to him and said, Missy said to sign this. Missy said, or Mylissa said to, and he waited on Dennis, sign this. So within hours, that evening, we got on speakerphone and we pulled that contract. We both said, no contract. And we said, we need to go over this. And he said, well, meet me at this residence at I have it written down here somewhere, 427, at another place that he was working.
Yeah, I kinda remember reading
Fort
that.
West
Birch,
Birch, okay.
West Birch. And he said, well, we need to go over at this house. He would not meet us over at our house. And he said, well, I will not work on this house. We were leaving town the next day. And we actually have it where we're gonna, we have it on our paperwork, where we were literally in town the next day and do not do any work. And he said, well, if you go ahead and give me a check down, and I will do all this extra work. And we'll do it for the 15, but you're gonna get all these extra things that I'm gonna do, including the other, working on all this extra stuff. And I will not, but I will not start it till you get back.
Was this verbal?
This was verbal.
And you had never received another updated
He was supposed to the next day.
He
quote?
was supposed to give it the next day, and we contacted him, and we said, we did not receive this. No, not gonna do anything.
But when you were discussing that you just said, was that a discussion that made him think that he had gotten the job?
That was only if we could come to agreement, because at that
Okay, so
time,
there
we
was,
were at,
so it was still up in the air.
it was still up in the air,
Okay.
because there was a point that we had left our garage unlocked. There was some wood in there he was interested in to use for a different job. We had a bunch of really high quality wood in our garage, finished wood, that he wanted to use for a whole different job that was worth around $500. And we
Yeah.
came into an agreement of the $500. If he could use the wood, he would take $500 off the job. And
Okay, but this is all still verbal.
it's all still verbal. It was supposed to be put in the second contract, and there was supposed to be an audio, well, the videotape. I don't know if you guys got it, but there is somewhere floating around. I have it, where there is talk of the second contract, with him talking about it. So
Okay.
there is there is proof that there is a second contract, not just by us. And I don't know if you guys have it or anything, but you can
Okay, well, we
verify.
don't, so we'll move on from there.
Okay.
Go ahead.
But it was given over with my
Okay.
information. But so he worked with that, and he was not supposed to even get up there. But with the photos right now,
Extend it then.
he got up there and he removed. Now, the only work that was supposed to be done was the stuff that comes out, words I cannot remember. I'm sorry, I had a hysterectomy last week. So, and beyond all the stress of this, I had a hysterectomy last week, and that is over serious. I am a little shaky. So if I have to go grab a chair, that's why. The soffit was the works that was supposed to be done, and there were several places around that was supposed to be replaced. That was the extra work. It was not supposed to be in our attic. But there is a lot of photos that are taken in our attic. We do not know why the boards are cut out of our attic. We have not a clue. We have no idea why our roof looks like it does.
Well, in the original quote, it stated that he was gonna replace broken rafters. So,
That is the stuff.
that's in the attic.
That was, you can see the stuff that's coming out. There is actually photos. But he had never looked in the attic. He had not been in the attic. That is the soffit. He'd only looked on the ground.
Okay.
There was no rock on that roof. There had never been a water leak on that roof. There had not been anything. We had never expected, that roof was straight when he got on it. We have photos to prove it. And now we knew where the broken rafters was, and there is photos of the broken rafters. Because the city here themselves took them. Maybe you have them.
I didn't take them.
You didn't take them, but the city took them. I'm sorry, the city, we had been pink tag, orange tag on that house, and then given notice to repair where it came in on and we had been given a time notice to repair. And that's the rafters we knew that we needed to replace. And that's what it was. And, so that was the rafters we were talking about. He got it in there, if you look at your photos, and just did a number on the inside of our attic. And that is a 3,500 square foot house. There's a full story. You can walk around. And that thing's coming down. We found out last week. We have a very limited amount of time before that really comes down on us. In fact, Patrick Stewart, I don't know if any of you guys know him, he's out of Bloomfield, nice guy, really, he knows his stuff. He told us, it's coming down. How soon can you pay a guy to get up there? He said, the roof is gonna have to come down.
So has Fuentes Construction acknowledged to you guys that there is a problem? Or
Oh,
they,
gosh, no.
they think their stance with you is that there's still no problem, or?
Now, we got an attorney immediately.
We see
Because
that.
they got an attorney immediately.
Sure.
Because they tried to go after us with the mechanics fee for the other $7,500, and then they raised it to $10,800 something immediately for the remainder. So
They were unsuccessful at
it's
acquiring a
still up in the
mechanics lien.
air.
Okay.
It's still up in the air. They're still trying to sue us. They still have a mechanics lien out there.
Okay.
And, so they're still after us. We have heard no reasoning to why they did. They don't know us. They don't know us, they didn't know us from jack.
Well, we don't care about whether they know you or not. We just care about the
Oh, I know,
damage to
no,
the
but
structure.
I'm saying this could have happened to anybody. This could happen to, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead,
We're
we're
just reading
listening.
through
Yeah,
papers.
I'm sorry.
We're still listening, but,
But yeah, this could happen to anybody.
so nothing's been said after the fact about, offers to repair it or?
No, we actually, before we found out how bad it
I
was,
didn't have one.
we had made offers to give some money back. Legally, our attorney sent that over. Just give us some money back. We thought that we could, with the $7,500 we had sent them,
Mine's 2 pages.
there
This
was
is
that offer.
Okay.
That has been pulled. Legal, with paperwork, that's been pulled. They have a, Otis is their attorney. Otis is a good attorney, I like Otis. But I am past Otis. I'm past what our attorney can do.
Do you have a outline of all the defects? We've got a whole lot of information here spread out here and there. Some of it's
Yes,
relevant,
I
some
have
of it
an
isn't.
outline.
Do you have a bullet list of, say, this, that would help us to kind of see the big picture?
It is almost too big of a big picture to get in one point.
Well, yes and no.
I have made so many things that I have wrote out.
I know you have. For what we've seen here.
Yeah, it is, it would be so nice if I could even know what in the world possessed them to think that they could go up there. They could, just beyond the point of, what in the world, they put termite-ridden boards, they brought them in from who knows where, and put them in my attic. There are pictures of them, hopefully they're in there, I've been
Well,
dealing with.
It's really hard to tell. I can see some, but we don't know how long they've been in there.
So I think the biggest thing we're looking at is the structural damage. There's some cosmetic, some of the fascias and soffits, but that's pretty minor compared, but the,
Structure.
yeah, the bracing and stuff in there, cause it's a framed roof, it's not a truss roof. How old's the house?
The 1920s.
Okay, yeah,
And,
so,
and in the contract that little doesn't mean anything because wasn't supposed to, it's void anyway. They didn't even replace the metal stuff, I can't remember.
flashing.
Yeah, that's the original flashing in the house. I dated it by being an antiques dealer. I figured out how to do it. That's from 1922. This place
With the valley.
Valley.
Flashing, yeah.
Part of
But
it's
there's some flashing that's not there.
the flashing on the inside of the house. It's duct tape. On the parts it's missing. There's parts you can't see because I couldn't get a good photo of it. There's duct tape up there. The metal part that's up there that is in the thing, even where he's supposed to have replaced it. They didn't replace it on the inside of the house.
So they were not supposed to do any kind of repairs in the attic, none.
No.
Just,
I don't know, the quote said they were gonna replace broken rafters, but it
Well-
wasn't delineated to what extent.
yeah, that's
you
what
know?
I was seeing too.
Yeah,
Uh,
and when I talked to King's Construction, they just understood the outside too, they never lived in the attic. And there is boards missing, there's just enough that I can,
It did say in the quote that they install new metal valleys, so when we talked to the other gentleman, we'll get, you know, that side of the story, but your opinion is that no new metal valleys were
Oh,
installed.
gosh, no. I can show you the photos there.
So from the proposal to what actually happened, the big things I see that deviate are, wafer board was used instead of plywood and valleys weren't provided. But the rafters, I mean,
Yeah,
and maybe you misunderstood what his intentions were,
yeah.
you know, but if he's gonna do work on rafters, it's innately gonna be in the attic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
most
yeah,
definitely.
and there's,
So-
and it would probably be a lot more money on a 3,500 square foot house.
But I think,
There would have been detail.
I think our time has come, we've been well over the 15 minutes. I think we may want to hear the other.
Flashing, she's talking about valley flashing. Now, some people lace valleys and don't use the metal flashing.
Or you can reuse the old metal flashing too, the code that says you can't.
The only thing was is
So
it
that would be a
sits-
code violation if he didn't put flashings in it or he used the old one.
No, you can use
No.
the old as long as it's good.
You can use the old one.
You can use it.
The one thing that I see though, it states with ice and water shield, well, you can't, I mean, unless they spoke about putting new valleys in, which I'm assuming, I mean, if you took them out, that's the only way you can put ice and water shield under the valley.
No, that's the only way
You
you can do it.
His new
Yeah. and it's-
Yeah, you
it's
basically
got
tear
new-
the valleys out and put new metal
And
in.
he was there when our adjuster was there.
Good.
Okay?
And,
All right,
and that's,
yeah, we're about.
and he was there, he requested to show up when our adjuster was there. And Dennis did call him. And so it wasn't just us talking to him. And he offended our adjuster.
Well,
Sorry about that.
we'll go ahead and get the other side, and then if we have
Yeah.
questions, we'll just call you back up, if
Okay,
that'd be
and
all right.
it would be great if you could see the photos.
Okay.
It really shows a lot more.
Hey, Melissa,
Hey,
come on around here and show, Andrew the struggles you all put up there.
oh,
Just take out a few.
Mr. Fuentes, would you like to approach? Please state your name and address for the record.
I live by 113 Street, Kansas.
Can you speak up? I had a hard time hearing her, so.
You're not the only one.
We've got a notice that Mrs. Call wanted a hearing to hear about her roof project. I think it was dated July the 18th. Do you have anything that you'd like to discuss on that project?
Honestly, we got a letter, and I'm sorry for my broken English, you know, one time ago.
You're fine.
The letter, Mr. Martinez sent me, or, I don't know, you need to say, out of scope.
Yeah, it says that they're taking us because we practiced outside of the scope.
Yeah.
It didn't say anything alleging that we caused damage or anything. So that's the letter that was presented, or that was sent to us.
I want to hear why he accused me to be, because according to Mr. McMillan's officer efficiency, you know, for building codes, he had an inspection of the roof. We do it, excuse me.
We saw that. There was an inspection
Miss
certificate
Mylissa,
signed
she
off.
hired me to do the roof. She never hired me to replace the rest of the structure for the house. Different issue. When I come and give you a bed for the house, she called me about 2 or 3 times. Susan, she working for my Monson, she's the one who called me so many times to come and look at the roof. I don't wanna deal with the roof. I talked to her husband, she called me today, I don't talk today because I'm planning to be the situation. And I talked to her husband, I said, I'm very sorry. I tell him exactly, no way to the insurance go to pay the roof because the condition of your roof. If I'm the adjuster, I'm personally walk away, pay for the roof, I don't know what the adjuster gonna say. If you wanna call, go ahead, turn the client, I'm more than happy to come and see it. Okay, that's happened. She turned the client, well, I don't know if he turned the client, and the adjuster come. The adjuster, when we meet today, the adjuster, he said, Mr. Fuentes, what do you think of the roof? And that condition, I don't wanna make the situation danger, I got a family to feed. So because, he said, why? Because the roof's tremendous, terrible. I said, if you wanna go, he said, I don't have a bigger ladder. I said, we can go get a bigger ladder. And we can, if you wanna go to the roof, we're trying to stand him on his ladder. And he go, and soon he jumped to the roof, he said, "Get it down, Mr. Fuentes." I'm
Who
gonna go
said
to the roof.
this?
We said the roof,
So,
the adjuster said that.
the
And pay for the
calls, the
adjuster.
calls, insurance
Yes.
companies,
We have
their
proof.
adjuster.
We
Yes,
have a
correct.
proof for that, the adjuster. We do the roof, well, we give you a bid, that day, I give you the bid, no second, maybe 2 days later, whatever, and I call her, and the number she gave it to me. And I ask him, "You ready for the bid?" He said, "My husband is in the shop," or whatever, one store having Main Street. And I come by, I give you the contract, he speak better English than what I spoke. He understand better than what I spoke. He okay, he signed it. The evening, she called me, he said, "I don't want you to do nothing with the contract yet, tomorrow." Next day, she called me, he said, can we meet in Daisy Mays?" And I said, "No, I work in 424 Westburg, we do a figure remodel there." And I said, "You're more than welcome to discuss here." She said, "You have a place to sit?" "Yeah, we can sit outside." We discussed about the roof, we give him a price, original price is about 17,000 something, close to $18,000, that's a barrel ring. She tried to say all these, I said, "Go with the guy, I'm not going to lower my price because we know to layer the steep, the danger, the roof and everything, it's terrible." So, but finally, she said, "Okay, how much down you want?" I said, I want 50%. She wrote a check for $7,500. We never deal. I don't buy, she mentioned about material. I don't buy used materials to build the houses, to remodel houses. I like to use the quality.
Could I ask a
I think
question? When she paid you the $7,500, had you started the work?
No, I tell them I have to wait about 2 or 3 days to start it out. I don't remember how many days I wait because we have a job to finish.
Well, she's saying that you gave her a verbal estimate. They had wanted to make some, no, you had given her an estimate, and they said that there was some things they would like to change in that estimate,
Never.
and that they said, "Don't do any work until we get that hashed out." And then you're saying that she went ahead and paid you $7,500 for down payment to go ahead and do the work.
Never.
Am I missing something here?
The day before.
Like,
The day before, and that's the reason I have it. She signed it, or he signed it the day before, and the next day she bring me he bring me the check.
Now
both bring me the check.
this is the one that Dennis said he was signing, but
But he didn't really
he
know what
was,
signing
yes, he
is.
didn't know that he was signing
He
a
really-
contract.
He spent like 10 minutes reading the contract.
He even chose the color of the pipe.
And he marked it at the
or
color of the sheet.
shingles there,
Well, I think the
which my dad.
question is, did he understand it was a contract or not understand it's a contract? That's what I was trying to
He
get
understand.
at.
That's why he signed it. He understanding why he signed it. And top and down, I tell him, I'm not
So
going to
did
do
you
the
collect the $7,500
$7,500.
after this, right?
After that, the next day.
The next day,
Mylissa and David, he know. If I'm going to
There you
review
go. I think it's in the
the
packet.
house, structurally, I walk away from the house. Why? If I walk away, because the house, to support the roof, I need to go to the bearing walls to put a support, and I don't have access.
when you say walking away from the
No, I tell.
job,
I'm
is that
trying
what
to
you're
walk-
saying?
I said, I walk away if it, the job, I'm planning to walk away. But Susan, and another, I don't know who's the more people recommend me, highly recommend me, and I don't wanna disappoint the people, and I said, I'm going to help as much as I can. But my job is.
Did you say that the adjuster told you to go ahead and do the work?
Go ahead, he said, we pay for the roof. Go ahead, we pay for the roof. When he said, go ahead, get it done, Mr. Fuentes, there's nothing, his decision. to
Well, I would
hire me.
assume that the homeowner actually
No,
would be the
it's-
one to
it's
give
what
you
I
the
just-
okay.
Tell her, because a adjuster, he know me, and that's why I pay for the roof. If a different adjuster, their roof is have a head damage, there's a deteriorated roof completely. Suppose, Mrs. Mylissa and Mr. David, he hired me to do the roof, not to support the roof, My job, he said broken raptors. Broken raptors, and what I'm doing yes to give a favor to support the raptor to make my guys start to work. One of my guys failed, have a lot of stuff around the house.
Did you discuss the roof structure at the time when you said this is how much to do the roof, but we might run into some problems with the roof not being structurally sound? I mean, if you've noticed, if you was talking like it was bad roof and you were gonna walk away from it, I would think that that would have come up. Now this is, what am I looking at here?
The north side of the house, soon, well, let me finish explaining you what we have.
Yeah, this would be looking straight up, right?
There's a rafter tails.
When we come into the roof, we come in agreement to the roof, maybe 3 days later, maybe 4 days later, we show up to the job site, delivery material and everything. Soon the guys trying to remove the limbs, having the north side, we got a big hole. The ladder fell down with the fascia, and that's why you see the part of the raptors. Suppose, in order to give a favor and protect my guys, no broken raptors. I'm trying to replace their house. I don't know how old. According to the age of the house, I do my best to support. We spend about $900 to $1,200 in material, no in the bed. It's not including the bed, and I'm not sure for that because I'm trying to do the best I can. When that one's fell, that roof is that this soffit fell up to the ground. The ladder fell to the ground. We found 4 layers of shingles. I called Mylissa. She's in Houston somewhere, whatever, and she answered. She tell me, call the adjuster. She want me to tell the adjuster to pay for the ladder, and I'm pretty honest guy. I'm not going to do bad things to trying to take advantage with the insurance, whatever. I called the adjuster and explained, and he tell me, Mr. Fuentes, if you have damage in the ladder, I'm going to pay. If you have an extra layer, take the photos and send it to me, and I'm going to make it right. I do. I take the photos for the extra layers. Mylissa, she knows about the time. She don't want to pay. I explained about the phone.
But you said the adjuster was going to pay for the extra work.
For the extra layers of shingles, not for the gathers, not for the riding raptors. We don't find broken raptors in the house.
So, did you do any other work other than shingles and redeck? Did you?
We redeck, and if you guys see it.
Did you do anything other than shingles and redeck? Did you do new soffits or fascia?
I fix the
Typical
little bit of software is in
1920s
my contract,
roof that's
and the north side, little bit of fascia.
100 times.
Okay.
And in
Did
order
you
to support-
did you ever mess with any of those rafters? This picture that's going around here. Did you ever work on any of those?
No.
No.
No, that's raptor, I have to work it to support, work it up to support my fascia.
So did you ever take any of those rafters out?
No.
Okay.
So you just held off on your rafters to be able to put soffit back in
Trying to
and
fix
the
it.
decking to come to an edge with a solid. Okay.
And Mr. Billis has the inspection when he come in.
Now, when-
That's why I said, I'm no violation, I don't be out of.
Is that code? I mean, can you do that? Can a roofer do that to a certain extent without?
He's a contractor.
Okay.
This, if the board support enough, the weight is cool to do it.
Okay.
Because there's 2 raptors. You have the ceiling raptors, for the sheetrock, and you have the raptors to support the roof.
Yeah.
If the tail of the raptor support the roof, it's good enough.
It's
and
just
set-
cosmetic,
It's
basically.
like setting the plate,
Mm-hmm.
it's good enough. Yes,
Yeah.
nail behind another one, and that one support the soffit. Because the
Okay.
soffit is not much of it.
Okay.
According to the decking and my contract, he said right there, material wise, you can use CDO, plywood, or OSB, either one.
Mhm.
Both meet the requirement.
But you specified plywood. Did you put OSB or OSB?
Yeah, it does say that you were going to use 1/2 inch CDX.
OSB.
Yeah.
OSB.
Where does it say OSB?
Where's the sign?
It says half-inch CDX.
Sheeting?
Sheathing, yeah.
Shooting, that's what I said, sheeting?
Yep.
It's always been
Half-inch
sheeting.
plywood, CDX.
That's not necessarily the case.
Well,
I mean, you delineated type CDX, you know.
God, there's so much.
because plywood,
Yeah,
this
it
is always
says plywood's
described.
plywood.
Yeah,
CDX is fine.
CDX is
yeah.
CDX is plywood, sheeting is always be.
That's in the code, sheet.
Sheeting is always be, it's in the code too. So it goes either one, meet the requirement according to the inspection.
Can we see that residential code book real quick? That residential code book? The IRC?
But it's, I mean, it doesn't, using sheeting, plywood.
Yeah, he specifies.
Yeah.
Plywood,
Yeah.
CDX, yeah.
You want me to find for you?
Oh, it's okay.
Chapter 9,
I'm just looking at the glossary.
chapter 9.
I'm just looking on the glossary. Yeah, there's not a definition for sheathing in the glossary.
Yeah, in the definitions, there's not. All it says in chapter 9.
My understanding is sheathing is some sort of, you know,
The only thing the IRC says, solid sheet.
Yeah.
sheathing. It doesn't say that sheathing is OSB.
No.
OSB is a type of sheathing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, when you,
Where it comes up as when it says solid sheet.
yeah,
And that, in my interpretation, solid sheet is 4x8.
Yeah, not board, not board lumber.
And that's the thing, even when me and Richard were checking in on it, we got a hold of the ICC, and they even said,
Okay.
you ought to know.
then it's supposed to be OSB 7/16, and that's, but nothing lower, nothing thinner than 7/16 or up, yeah, yeah.
That's why we had the city commission put in an amendment to our city, Winfield and Buffington, that sheeting is, so it's.
Yeah.
You know, I do the best I can, but I'm not going to work for free to train to build the entire house. I can build it, I have the ability to do it. There's nothing, I can rebuild the house back like that if the money is there for the material and my labor.
Have you got a copy of this letter?
We got a copy for that letter?
In that letter, the engineer states that the roof is currently framed by 2x4 rafters that span from the ridge to the eave with what appears to be newly framed stiff back at approximately mid-span of the rafter. So he's stating that additional framing from about mid-span was installed. Is that what you
What
did?
happened, I will explain you. I will explain you, when we start to tear down the roof, there's danger
Sure.
completely.
So what the framing he's referring to is what you put
In order
in.
to make my guys say, I have to brace it.
Yeah. So your intent wasn't to try to fix broken rafters, it was just try to make it adequate to stand on? Is that what you're stating?
Yeah, safer.
Safety. Yeah,
safety.
sure.
You can see it
Okay.
there, and I had to do it, but the code, I had to do it.
So your intention wasn't to
That's why-
reframe
That's why this is all.
a failing roof structure?
Never.
It was just to
Down this way,
add a
'cause
few
these are kicking
pieces.
out.
Cause that damn thing's
So
doing
that
that.
you
So that
felt
dip
safe
was
on it?
already there.
Mhm.
And
Okay,
you can
so-
see in this picture.
What's the span, what was the span of the rafters?
The span, was 16 foot.
Oh, okay.
2 foot
Between
centers.
each rafter, are they 2 foot or 16 inch?
2 foot, or 2 foot centers,
It's,
2 foot centers
2 foot.
2 foot in that picture.
and 2 befores.
Yeah, the old 2x4, the upraised, because I have a lot of weight,
Right.
and
Well-
I'm trying to do the much I can.
So-
The engineer even stated that it was wavy and,
Yeah, but that,
yeah.
so the calls also have made a claim that, new metal valleys were not installed. Did you install new metal
We
valleys?
installed new metal valleys,
Okay.
and 100%, we never walk away from that. I'm going to explain you in the picture why. who have the first time?
Here, these are yours.
Okay.
Do you have a picture of the new metal valleys you put in?
I don't take a picture
No.
because of it. I can, if you guys want me, we can go cut them up and
Yeah.
I'll prove that there's a metal valley there.
Okay.
What happened,
I'm not getting that.
when you guys find 4 layers in the roof, and you have a valley, there's a, we call heap roof. After 4 layers, if we take the old metal valley, the house is going to start to shake back. Because what we do, we leave the old metal valley, and we reinforce with the new ones. You would never, in my life, I never see a contractor in my life, when 4 layers of shingles take the metal valley, the old metal valley out. It's why them old metal valley is still exposed, because that
So
one
you're
built
saying you put it on top?
on top of that, and icing white on top of that too. Yeah, there's no way to, it's true. If you guys go underneath the house, or underneath the attic, you go to see the old metal valley. But the new metal valley is on top of that.
Okay. Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to add or discuss?
Okay, so this-
Yes, I want to hear why is that cute? How this cool?
Yes, yeah, that's like.
Like I said,
It's nice.
It sounds like
I'm not
the call's interpretation and your interpretation of the work that was supposed to be performed vary. And there are some things that vary, are kind of innate just because it was in writing, like the half-inch CDX. If we didn't use half-inch CDX and they expect half-inch CDX, they do have a point. Now, the delineation, your verbiage says we will remove and replace all the broken rafters. That statement kind of got you in a little bit of hot water. The fact that you published that in writing saying you'll replace broken rafters could lead someone to believe that you're going to fix the broken structure of the rafters.
Well-
Your intent, obviously, was to make it safe just to do the roof job, but it wasn't really delineated in that manner. It just was, we're gonna replace broken rafters. So their interpretation of your proposal may have been,
I explained.
For more
We
work.
spend more an hour talking in 424 West Birch
Yeah.
before she ran me a check
yeah,
the day. Because right now she's telling me she have a better bed. I said, you free to go. I'm no go too low, what price. We know how much the insurance pay. We know when we go to do it. And even when we give a bid, it's an open bid because we don't know what we find underneath the roof. So many layers. We finished a house yesterday, have a 6 layers. The guy, he understand. Some people, he don't understand. But my job, the roof never leak. The roof support. If the engineer, soon he climbed, he had to the attic, and he saw there's no safe. He know what to go in the attic. Nobody what to go. I work with so many engineers, so many architects, calculate the weights, and nobody go to, just because he wanna testify something. We know, in my opinion, I'm not doing wrong. And if you give me, I got another picture to show you here. When you build the decking, with, just a decking. We call the lads a 1x4 or whatever. The house catch a fire a lot. I don't know if it's fire or whatever.
oh, it had previously caught fire in the house.
I don't know what's that, but, we're trying to.
Okay, we're looking at,
We put a
this will
lot
be
of
the,
1x6
okay, here's the edge.
to brace my rafter and support my decking.
Okay. Do you guys have anything else you'd like to add or discuss?
The only thing,
This picture.
when you mentioned the rafters, broken rafters, my contract, he said broken rafters, no damage. And the picture I showed you to you a little bit ago, there's a damaged rafters, house with the hole.
Yeah, they look pretty rough. I mean, they're
Yes.
old rafters. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're 1920 rafters.
Not too
Yeah.
long ago-
After seeing that picture, that's what I envisioned.
Not too long
Yeah.
ago, we framed it, in late wings. I think it's number 7 or whatever. that roof and the battens collapsed. The homeowner called me and said, Mr. Fuentes, you highly recommend, can you fix that? And I tell him, no. I charge you $7,800 to support your roof, and when are you going to do it? I said, I need to go and find a better wall if you want to do it. He said, the roof sag like that. We ordered a beam, we cut them up, constructed the wall, the two sides of the wall, with a big beam, and support it. Paying for the job, why not? Because she hired me to do structurally the roof, to redo it and support
Sure.
it. Right here, we hired only for their roof
Yeah.
to get it done.
It just, the verbiage is kind of a little bit vague,
I'm
which
the
is
kind
kind
of-
of what's
I'm not
causing
here.
open interpretation of replace
I'm not here
broken
to make
records.
him a citizen bad,
Yeah,
or to try just to come in and get a job, walk away, no. I'm here to have a citizen better house to stay,
sure.
to meet the code, and I'm considering I do the best I can with it. Maybe, it's hard to meet the code 100%.
Sure.
We meet strictly the code, do the basic we can to support the roof.
One more thing, just so we can speed this up. I know you've got a lot you want to say too, and so did they. How much did you talk to them after the issue came up initially, that they weren't happy with the job? How much did you go and try to explain or appease or deal with the situation when you found out that they weren't happy?
Like I say, excuse me, we talking about the home. She's not home at the time. She's in Houston or Austin, or I don't know at the time.
Okay, but they did come back.
She'll not come back to, I think, 4 or 5 days later.
Right, okay, so they get back.
We have to do the roof because of rent. When you open a house,
Well, I understand all that, but what I'm saying is, once the issue came up, what did you do to help resolve it? I'm a businessman, I know things happen.
when the issue comes
I'm just saying is, what did you try to do to help alleviate this situation we're
I
in right
explained
now?
the situation. No way to straight the roof completely. The only thing I explained, we support. I support much I can with the roof. Because, like I already said, to support the roof,
So you were basically just saying, well, this is
she not
what
happy with
what
that.
we've done, and this is as far as that we were paid to do, anything else is gonna be on top of
No,
that,
she
right?
She not trying to, start using excuse. By that time, I catch her recording, and I said, why you record the conversation without my permission?
So that was right off the bat?
So, please,
Okay, all right, that's what I wanted to know.
yeah,
We want to know.
yeah, we're trying to correct the job. Why not? If I do a mistake, why not to correct it?
Right.
We don't have to be in this situation.
Okay,
But
all right,
their
that's all I
job
wanted
is-
to know.
Yeah, their
All right.
job, there's no way to correct if we don't get it done right. We need to get it done right. and get it done.
Okay? You want to give Mylissa and Dennis maybe a rebuttal?
I feel like
5 minutes or
if you give one, then
Warren,
you're
you
gonna have to
gotta
give
give
two.
the other.
Well, that's true, so it's up to you.
Can we close the open floor and have a discussion on
Yeah, we
on
can,
what we've had?
we can go to executive session.
Thank you for your time.
There's that. Can I use the bathroom?
Yeah, can we take a 5-minute recess?
Give it one too.
Yes.
I would like to go ahead and bring up pictures of the visuals so you can see them better, if you guys want to. That's strictly up.
Well, we probably ought to, it wouldn't be fair if we didn't.
That's
We've
all we
seen,
need
we've
is
seen
one
his
person to
good
find it.
pictures.
Can we turn these lights off?
Okay, I'm gonna ask you to do it. You'll have to take a break. Has the 5 minutes been up?
Everybody's
It's fine,
back
we're
in
back.
there. We're back.
Everybody but Andrew.
Yes, it is.
And if you have a question, I can explain.
Okay. We will ask you if
Okay, this must be the termites board that you were talking about.
Yes, I was actually able to put my computer through that board.
Ma'am, if you're gonna speak,
Yeah, go
we're
ahead
gonna
and
have
come
to
up
have
to
you
the-
up to the podium.
Can I do that?
We'll
Well,
allow
I
it.
have to.
I don't know. What should I do?
You're allowed to.
Okay.
We'll allow it.
That board was introduced along
What is this going to?
It is going from the floor. There's actually a few different shots of it that I think only one of them ended up here. It is actually holding up my attic in
The ridge?
southeast corner. There's only a few boards holding up that whole corner.
And
That's
that would
all.
be how long, the board?
It is about 6 foot.
6 foot, and it's going from the joists, ceiling joists up there, rafters,
The ceiling,
up
rafter,
to,
yes, and it is landing actually partially on the plaster ceiling and going all the way up and holding on and going onto the ceiling.
and you're
joist.
contending that he put that there, that wasn't
That's-
part of the original.
That was not part, and Dennis had actually been up there not too long before.
And you did not see them
No, that's all been added to it.
at the time the roof was put on?
Yes, correct.
Okay,
Yeah, he had actually been up there in that attic not too long before.
okay.
The rework was done.
Did you access that attic through the crawl hole or from the
Yes.
roof?
No, I've never been through the roof itself, through the
Through the
attic.
attic, okay.
We had some trouble with the lights blinking, and we had actually flipped the switch.
Okay.
If you wanna show more pictures, we're limiting this to 5
Yeah,
minutes, so
we're
we might
trying
keep
to-
going.
Yeah.
Go ahead, that's unimportant. Oh, I do know why that's important. Pablo, on the recording says that there was a 1x4 running the whole length of the house, and that's why it's bowed. And we have him on the recording saying that. There is no 1x4. The way that is a picture of the pitch of the house. And
You talking about a ridge beam?
the ridge beam, there is no ridge beam.
Well, he couldn't put that in there without tearing all the others out.
Oh, yeah, we understand that, but he actually, after the roof was done, said that there is a 1x4. And that just, it just
You
shows.
sure he
that
wasn't
there's no-
talking about
Well, it could be one
deck-
before,
It might be one
decking
before
on,
material.
on one side.
to be able to nail the sheeting to?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it could be, we just snapped that picture in.
Okay.
Okay.
The other termite board, another termite board. That's literally, termite boards and replace rafters. More of those green boards, anything painted green was the termite boards, that's actually,
You tell fresh cuts on too,
yeah.
there's fresh cuts on the boards,
On the,
on the edge, on the end of it.
where the sheeting is showing through there, the wider area?
The green boards that are termite infested, there is fresh cuts.
Oh,
They're like,
Did you
that
get a
board
good clear
put up
picture of
there
the fresh
and it was-
cut? Cause that's what I wanna see. I wanna see
Yes.
proof that it's added, not
Yes.
already
Yeah,
there.
we have pictures of fresh
Show
cuts.
us, let's see it.
This is all fresh cut, and these are bigger spans than, and this
there,
is.
there
one of
is
the
some
burdens-
charred wood up there in there.
Yeah, this is the small pieces of dark wood which we're legally not supposed to be able to use. We found out from talking to Mike, they have to be so much spacing, there's actually, they have to be so much good wood left. There was a lightning strike that took a very small area. He reused the wood. This is some new wood. And there is large amounts that have no wood there. That's where the attic rafters propped up on the ceiling. This is the biggest issue upstairs. This is why the roof is failing. If you guys that are contractors, even you guys that don't do this, that are plumbers, this is the biggest problem. Everything lands on our plaster ceilings. This is the part that pisses me off.
So you're saying that there's no supporting wall underneath that, that's right in the
There's
middle
no
of the
supporting
ceiling?
wall. I have pictures somewhere that might have made it into there that show there's no wall underneath.
Well, I don't see how it wouldn't have pushed the plaster and the
It is,
clear out through the,
they're coming down through the ceiling.
yeah, you should take pictures of that too.
Well, I have pictures there, but they're coming through.
We have about one more minute if there's
Yeah.
more you'd like to keep showing.
Fresh cuts, there's some of the 1920s. There should be another photo where Mark, this is one of the things that it was not gonna pass the first inspection on because he used different lengths, different thicknesses of wood. And, Mike said that he was not gonna pass wood inspection at first.
The gap between, on the soffit, you can see daylight,
On the
that big
fascia.
of a gap,
Yeah,
on the soffit between the soffit.
Now, was that
and the
picture
roof.
taken before they put the soffits in?
No,
oh, this is.
This
is all
the way it is
after.
right
it's
now.
all finished.
This is all finished, you can see
This
right
way you
out
won't
that
wait
house
for
and
it.
put your hand through it.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
Oh, yeah, and it's, see, you don't want to
Okay.
believe how long
All right,
that is.
go ahead and show the rest there.
And see, more landing right on the plaster. Now, this one, it actually does land. The ones close to the wall actually do land close enough to a ceiling joist. But everything else does not. That's my husband standing up there. If you could tell just how much work that he pulled off. That's the gap where you come up and crawl in the attic. We're not talking a little bit of work. This is a huge house. Oh, and also there's bricks all over too. They knocked down the roof. You know, that was part of the deal. The chimneys, but
Okay.
bricks are still up there on my plaster ceilings. And one of the corners is actually only held up
There's
by
a dip in the
three.
ridge.
Yeah, and it's a twist too. It's not only a dip, but it's a twist. This one you can see light through. They stole, and I think that is the only word for it. This is gonna cost us, we got two estimates. One of them was, Chris Johnson was the best, cheapest.
Was there any mention in there of better work?
Okay, well, I think our 5 minutes is up
Yeah.
for these folks.
Yeah.
We appreciate you taking time to show us those.
Yeah.
This one does not include
That's,
any
I think the rest
gutter
of it, you got the
or
idea.
additional.
And, I would, everything he says about phone calls, you might have some record, I have everything else. I can do that, everyone does.
Okay.
I have every record of every phone call.
Hopefully it doesn't come to that.
Yeah.
Pablo, is there anything you'd like to speak? We gave her 5 more minutes. If you would like 5 more minutes, we'll grant it to
I
you.
want to see the steel, you know.
Oh, I think he's still wanting to say why, 'cause I mean, here we're talking about something totally different, and then we're still wondering why are we practicing outside of the scope?
There's a definition, you know, we
That's
have
why.
the side stuff.
You want what?
I don't understand the question.
Letter that the city sent
To you guys about notifying you of this meeting
Yeah.
is that because they
Practicing outside of the.
outside of the scope of the permit.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Okay.
How is that? How are
Well,
we
you
practicing
need to talk
outside
to
of the
him,
scope?
not us.
Well, well,
He's the one that says whether it's outside the scope or not.
I think what's happened here is they've provided the city and this board a document saying that you guys are gonna replace broken rafters. And your intent wasn't to replace the structure of the house, and so there's a little bit of confusion on what the intended project was, and I think that's why you got that letter. The calls, I think, expected more, you know, and your intent wasn't to provide more, so it's a little bit of a controversy. And so I think that's why you got the letter saying that you perform work outside the scope. But the intent of your work, according to you, was that it's just for safety, you know, to make it structurally enough for you to walk on to do the job that you intended to do. Is that correct?
Correct. According to the picture of the board, we use Douglas fibers. We know exactly what kind of materials. So much 2x4s, you know, meet the grade and the material we use. We know exactly we can prove that. Again, we don't hire to do structurally to build the roof, we do the roof. They lights and the fascia. 99%, if you're not caulking, you would expand or reduce, all depend on the weather. And Mr. Bennett, you know that, the city inspector. We never come back to caulk that gap or whatever, because we know better to caulk it or paint it. There's a paint guy to do it, you know, the guy got to finish. That's why the gap, you see it. The house, you guys see it, it's not an insulation. When you guys have the gap, sometimes more than the insulation cover too, and the gap, every house is, you can go to the house brand new, we build, you guys, and I can take you picture and show it to you, be a gap daylight there, you know, to be eliminate the daylight is after you insulation and caulking and paint.
Some of them look pretty good sized gaps.
I'm not, there's, all those pictures and all that rest of the wood, there's a lawyer stuff to take care of that, because like I told you, we have a name on the product we use for each support. We don't mess with all numbers, especially we know termites there, how much you got to cost me that 2x4?
Yeah.
$4 to $10 a piece, it's better to grab one of those and eliminate the problems. We don't pay to do that. We
Okay.
only them.
Okay, thank you.
Make a motion. I make a motion, we go into executive session for
10 minutes?
10 minutes.
10
A
minutes.
second. Should be able,
10
yep,
minutes.
10
Yeah.
minutes.
Excuse me, I forgot something. Sorry. And the 1x of the labs you see, we call the lab, you know, the 1x6 or whatever, if you use it again in the contract again, there's nothing to replace that. We do the best we can, and according to the expand, you're able to do so many square inch to put the board. If we know the board, you know what to support. We don't add the OSB. And if you go to see a little extra OSB in the wrapper if you have more pictures. Why? Because they're trying to eliminate a little bit of weight to hide the difference. There's a way to do it, and pass the cord.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
We may do it again.
No, we got a motion, do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor, let's go.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I'm gonna turn it back over to Brian.
Our executive session is expired. I think further discussion is needed. Do I have a motion to
I'll
extend?
make a motion that we extend, executive session another 10 minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the executive session be extended by 10 minutes. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign? Okay, we're gonna go back into executive session for 10 more
Sorry,
minutes.
it's legalities.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know how to cook this for two, she cooked for an army.
There you go.
No, we're all-
Well, hey, we'll bring the army. Let's see, you live over east, don't you?
Oh, actually south.
I was going east this way, I guess, yeah.
That's kinda like southeast.
Yeah, so we'll all go southeast and you're west. That's better yet.
All right, I think our time is up. We're now back in session. The board has had time to review the cases brought before us by both parties. We discussed in detail both viewpoints. And per the request of Mr. and Mrs. Call, they are seeking a motion to revoke the license of Fuentes Construction. I now open the floor for any additional motions. Do I have a motion to so do? Seeing no motion, any other discussion on the matter? The matter will be closed. We appreciate you guys taking the time to come talk to us. We feel like there are some things that contractually may have not been aligned with what you were expecting and what was performed, but that is something that we feel might be better suited for a court of law rather than a trades board hearing. Our job here is to evaluate codes and make sure that the codes are being enforced, and contractual differences on expectations are outside of the scope of the International Residential Code and therefore outside the scope of our authority. So we appreciate you taking the time to come discuss it with us, but seeing no additional motion on the matter, we'll move on to miscellaneous items.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have anything on miscellaneous items? Anybody have anything on the board
I
for
don't
miscellaneous items?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
It passed.
Got a motion, we adjourn,
Aye.
got a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Opposed? We're done.